West. I'm a young wife, watercolor artist, and seamstress, among other things. I've decided that I want to document and share my creative projects. It's just something I'm very interested in doing. I have told myself that regardless of the quality of the video, I am going to post it. I'm a little bit insecure about myself being on camera, in case you hadn't noticed. So I just want to have practice, and I think forcing myself to post whatever I make is going to help me get better at it. So, starting off strong, my friend Marie asked me to make her a custom quilt, and we decided on these really, really pretty fabrics. We had this dainty little blue floral. She also mentioned that she wanted like a rust gold color, and we decided on this floral. And then I chose the white background. So this first evening was spent mostly cutting my background pieces. You need something like 300 squares, and I had already cut all of the strips a few days before. I just spent the evening sizing all of those strips down into the squares we needed. And I think that leads us into the next day, so I hope you enjoy. Hello, day 2. So, I pretty much managed just to get all of the background squares cut last night, and then Cross and I just chilled. So, today is all about sewing. We're going to start probably with the star blocks because they're more interesting. And then when I get really tired of that, probably after 2, because each block takes about an hour to sew, which is a lot. And also for this one, I scaled it up so it looks slightly different. And it takes a little bit longer because the seams are longer, but not too much longer. It's really not that big of a deal. Anyways, this is the pattern I'm going to be using. It's by Pattern Basket. It's this really, really cool like North Star pattern. It's like my absolute favorite star block. I've made a couple of different quilts with it. One of them's this pink, one of them's the rust, and one of them was like a pretty green and blue that I gave to my little brother. It was really cute. We're doing that, except that instead of just the window painting in between, I am going to be doing the Irish chain, as I said. And I think I left my paper up there. Hang on. We're back. Okay, so it's gonna look something more like this. It's a very messy sketch, but it's going to be kind of like this. I call it lattice. I know the original is Irish chain or whatever you want to call it. And then in between each one of these is going to be one of our star blocks. So it's going to be 7 by 7, so 49 square blocks in all. 25 of those are going to be stars, and 24 of those are going to be the Irish chain. So without further ado, let's get over there. Ta-da! This is my sewing machine. She's really cute. She's an old Bernina Artista. She came out, I think it was 1998. She's really fun. She's got her embroidery module and all, but I'm kind of spoiled. I work in a Bernina shop, and all the newest and greatest things are out there, and I have now realized that my embroidery module is kind of unusable because it's just so old and it's really hard to use. So I'm saving up for hopefully an embroidery machine eventually, but for right now, she's beautiful. I love her so much. She does straight stitch well. I am also a cheapskate. I am just using a normal 1 foot. I cannot be bothered to spend 70 bucks on a 1/4 inch foot, so I just end up bumping my needle over, and it just works perfectly fine. So this is what we'll be using. But first off, we're going to be drawing a bunch on our squares. Each of these star blocks takes 12 of these squares, and I'm going to be doing some fun drawing so we can make that first elongated point. First off, they look like this, and then they look like this. So here are little points. They're very cute. I did end up trying to make them directional, so each of these are hopefully going to be, all the flowers will be pointing up when, you know, when they're all put together, something kind of like that. I haven't done that before. I've only used it with stripes, which is pretty darn easy, and most of the time I try to make them into like a sunburst rather than all going the same direction. So I'll just have to be very, very careful piecing my blocks, but it'll be fine. Next thing I have to do is make the center, and then we can put this all together and check out the finished block. Threads all over her, but that is the square. Now this used to be like 11, I think 11 inches before you put it into the quilt, so it would be like 10 and a half finished block. And I had to do a bunch of math and make it into a 15 and a half inch square when it'll be sewn in, so it finishes at a 15-inch square. Because A, the Irish chain is so much easier that way, and B, I cannot imagine making a king-sized quilt with only 11-inch square blocks. I am not that patient. So, we're gonna do this. But isn't she pretty? I like her a lot. She's kind of got a lot of contrast going on. I hope they like it. And then I'm going to do, I think I'm probably gonna end up doing a couple more of these until I lose patience. I might go make lunch. I'm very hungry. To me that I could be doing this more like a the words just completely went out of my head. It's not a construction line, is it? You know what I'm talking about, where I could just, instead of making an entire block at once, do all of the orange pieces and then all of the middle pieces, and then end up having 25 blocks finished pretty much all at once. But I don't like that. I have to be so patient in life for all the other things. I'd rather spend my free time doing something that'll be a little more satisfactory, a little quicker. Make a block. All the tasks are different. I don't have to get bored doing one thing constantly. And then at the end of it, I finished it. It looks great. I've actually made an entire block. I've made progress. It's visible. Unlike where you do the whole construction line. I prefer my dopamine in little doses more frequently. So, change of plan. I think I'm just going to do 9 blocks instead of just a few. That way I can set it up into a 3x3 little mini quilt on the floor. I have to make 20 more of those. But hey, we're a fifth of the way through. Okay, so now the next step is to go on to the Irish chain. Let me pull out those. Here are all the pieces for that. That's gonna be the sunflower. This should be a lot easier because I'm just doing the tripod almost fell down. I'm just doing the strips and then I'm cutting the strips individually. So they should come together really fast, and they're all squares and rectangles, obviously. And it should be relaxing. That was a lot of work. I have to make a king-sized quilt. Is it gonna be epic when it's finished? This is technically your typical Irish chain block. So you normally alternate these in like a checkerboard fashion, and it makes this really cool like lattice thing. But because I am extra and because I like a smaller chain, I don't like it to be super bulky. I feel like it's kind of distracting. I am actually going to be adding another layer. So here, sorry. Pretty much another sunflower here, another sunflower here, and in each of the corners. So it'll be a slightly larger block and it'll be a much daintier chain. Bad news. The fabrics really don't go well together. I don't know if I just incorporated them wrong, like if I should have used the floral and the stars and maybe used one of the star prints as the Irish chain, but here, let me show you. It's just really bad. This one's like so green, which is funny because it really is the same colors. Like they've got both the blue and the orange in there. But seeing them side by side, they look pretty rotten. So it's fine. I'll just find a third fabric. She was saying that she wanted to lean heavy on the blues anyways when we were designing. And although she liked this third fabric, I think maybe I can do better. I might even just pull a solid blue. I don't know, we'll see. I will be hopefully going to a couple quilt stores, fabric stores in the next few days to try to find something. The plus side is I only need to cut like a couple more strips of background, which I had extra of anyways, and recut the Irish chain color strip whenever I find it. So it's not too much cutting, but at the same time it's still a little annoying, obviously. Yeah, that set me back a little bit. I was not expecting to hate it that much. The good news is that that came together like super fast. I could probably get it done in like 5-10 minutes, which is great. So 24 of those is really not a big deal at all. So I guess that's a plus sign. And I got 5 of the star blocks done, and I think I am definitely sticking with those colors. Like I think they look cool. They look nice. I just gotta find a third fabric again. Got a new piece. I really am glad I went with the darker blue. I think it looks so much better than the green the sunflower is making. The night is young yet. I think I'm gonna try and make 3 more of the Irish chain blocks so that we can actually put together our 3x3 mini quilt like we said we would the first day, but I'm way happier with this. We finally have our 9 patch. I am so happy I changed the color. It's not perfect, but I think it might grow on me, especially when I start attaching all the squares. It'll start looking like legitimately like how I want it to. And by that I mean there's enough white around the star blocks to make the star blocks look like the center of attention and not the darker chain, if that makes sense. You'll see in a second. I can't believe that I have to do a little more than 5 times this amount. That wasn't horrible, I'll be honest. I have officially made a row and a block, which is really nice, which means I only technically have less than 6 rows left, and that feels encouraging to group the numbers like that. Ta-da! It's 7 by 7, yeah, so it'll be a little more than twice this wide and twice this long. But especially like the middle of the quilt, that sort of diamond here is going to repeat it so many times, and again I think that it draws your eye to the star rather than to this lattice work. I think because I have 9 blocks and technically the actual quilt is only going to be 7 wide, I can actually put together a row. And it's a little more difficult to do that when you have like random fat quarters that you're throwing together and the blocks don't all look the same. But for this quilt there's just 2 different blocks, which means that I don't have to do a preliminary layout on the floor and make sure that it looks random enough, like I don't stick too many of the same color next to each other, etc. But I think we're good for this one. I can just sew together these blocks and I will have one row done, and I will just have the extra 2 blocks to start on my next one. So, let's do it. For the record, I am 5'3", and it's a good almost 3 blocks taller than I am. And the blocks are each about 15 inches, so that should tell you something. It's going to be a very large quilt, but they are 1/7 of the way done piecing it. We're doing good. Also, I wish I wasn't filming with my phone because the tripod shenanigans I had to set up to try and get that shot was intense. Kind of sucks because it's super gray outside, but it is attached. I am going to sew the next few rows. It's pretty much the same process, so I'll just put in some footage. Cross said he would help me. He made this really cool piece for all of my star points, so I don't have to measure anymore. I can just trace it along the line, which is really nice. Other than that, we're gonna get all the rows done and I'll check in soon. She's done. Not gonna lie, that was a lot of work, but I think it'll pay off. I'm really excited about it. I bought some backing fabric today. It's not perfect, but they were out of the fabric I originally had wanted, so it's good enough. I plan to long arm it tomorrow, but I think for the rest of today I am going to piece the backing and then cut out and iron all of my binding pieces, so tomorrow I can just long arm it, attach the binding, and then hand sew it over the next evening and a half or so. It's so pretty. All right, let's do this. I have attached my binding to the quilt. Sewed it on one side. I'm going to fold it over here and hand stitch it down like that. Alright, I got the quilt in the washer. I am officially done with it as far as the actual sewing goes. We're gonna go actually over to Marie's family over the weekend, and I'm hoping to take some cool video footage and do the whole reveal at their place because they have a really nice ranch. If you're still here, you're absolute gold. I wish you the best. I hope I inspired some of you to create. It's like the best feeling ever, and I want to give that to people. That's my main goal. That's what I enjoy seeing on YouTube, is people making things, being very happy about it, and it makes me want to make things, and I really, really want to forward that on, to add my creations into that catalog of inspirational pieces. All in all, thank you so much for following along. I hope to see you in my next video, and I think that about wraps it up. So, here is the reveal.
Babushka.